How's that? Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and thank you kindly for joining us on Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's an absolute pleasure to connect with you guys on the I Love CVille Network, a show, Real Talk with Keith Smith, that has celebrated how many episodes, Keith?
Oh, that would require me to count. 1,100,000. We're well into the 700s. I didn't count. I know we're well into the sixth year. I haven't counted, and I promised I would do that, but I have not counted. We're definitely in the 700 plus range, though.
6 years of this talk show, Real Talk with Keith Smith. Over 6 years, more than 6 years, and more than 700 episodes of Real Talk with Keith Smith. He's become the voice of real estate in a region we call Central Virginia that's 300,000 people strong. He shoots it straight. We talk the intersection of real estate, of interest rates, of building equity, of building financial freedom, of politics and local government and zoning and how they influence real estate. We talk new development, new construction. We talk existing construction, all topics fair game. And today's show is a perfect example of that. Like and share the show anywhere you're watching. Support the partners that make the program possible, like Yes Realty Partners. Find them online at yesrealtypartners.com. Like Intrastate Service Company, a home's best friend, a firm Intrastate Service Company that has been around for generations. We're talking 4 of them. Judah Wickower behind the camera. Let's go to a studio to show the scope of the Real Talk with Keith Smith set, and then let's welcome the distinguished gentleman himself, Keith Smith.
Do you realize he chimed in early?
Oh, I know.
I don't think in 700-something shows that's never happened before.
You should have seen him on the show yesterday. He was sensational.
Really?
Sensational.
He's always sensational.
You're looking sharp, Judah. I like the, do we have a 3-shot set up with Judah?
Oh, the color coordinated
Yeah, I
sweater.
know. The sweater complements the stripes and the button down.
Well,
Did you intentionally do that, Judah?
And the beard kind of blends all in.
Look at look at the gentleman over here, Judah Wickower. Oh, look at that.
Do that again.
Was that your version of blue steel over there, Judah? There's blue steel for Judah right there.
Oh, good Lord.
That's you've seen Zoolander, right?
Yeah. I have seen Zoolander. You know we have nothing planned for today.
We got a lot to cover.
We got a lot planned. We got a lot to talk about.
Some breaking news yesterday.
We had some breaking news yesterday. I'm glad to hear before the set you think that maybe it's not health. So that was my biggest.
Well, it's been announced that it's not health.
Okay, good.
Good. It's announced it's not health for Coach Bennett or any of his family members in media.
Yeah. That would be my biggest concern. So other than that, I wish them all the well, and we'll see how it plays out in about 35 minutes.
36 minutes. You're a trusted voice in the community, not just on real estate. Do you want to offer some perspective on the retirement news of Coach Tony Bennett, who's on not just the Mount Rushmore of basketball at UVA, he's on the Mount Rushmore of UVA history. On the Mount Rushmore up there with, I would say, this is crazy to say, and we'll talk about this on the I Love CVille show. I think the Mount Rushmore of the University of Virginia, of course, Thomas Jefferson is on there.
I'm listening.
I would think that you would put maybe a John Castine on there. Okay. I think Tony Bennett is on there with people of that magnitude. Friend of the program, Jaffrey Woodruff, who's contributed the most amount of donations in UVA history, on there. Very, very under the radar, his influence. Sure. The man behind the data science school.
Most people who donate a lot of money are generally under the radar.
Yeah, he's extremely under the radar. Built the squash facilities at Borset and the data science school.
I do this show because I don't have a lot of money to.
Yeah, you're very much on the radar.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you my 2 cents for it. I've been blessed to meet the guy 4 different times. They were in social events, but was blessed to meet him. Always made you feel welcome. You know, he didn't look down on you. He just was a generally awesome. He is generally an awesome human. So I just wish him all the best in the world. I'm sure I'm not a big basketball sports guy, so this is out of my comfort zone on this stuff.
Yours truly very much is.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, I only wish him the best of luck, and the sports program and the basketball team best of luck. But I'm glad to hear that it wasn't. My first thought was, oh my God, there's help. Usually something like this happens.
I think that was
quicker.
everyone's first thought.
Yeah. So the fact that it's not, I think that's freaking awesome. So I wish him only the best of the world. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go pro, though.
I'd be surprised if he becomes an NBA head coach.
Well,
his defensive first mentality
is not a professional.
It's not conducive to professional basketball.
So at the end of the day, my 2 cents is I wish him and his family the best of luck, and the sports team the best of luck, because it does make an impact on real estate, right? People like coming here.
Massive impact. He's
impact.
had on real estate. I talk about that all the time. The impact Coach Bennett and Coach Elliott have on the local economies here in Central Virginia.
That and the rest of the sports program and the rest of the other programs that UVA had. We've talked about this numerous times. If UVA wasn't here, we probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this show, right? So, it's impactful. It's also a two-edged sword, rallying it back to affordable housing and the housing market. There is some responsibility there, and they're stepping up to the plate. I think they could step up a little bit more, use a little baseball thing, because my Mets, I am a baseball fan, and my Mets did not do well yesterday. Thank you for the Yogi Berra reference, but the Mets did not do very well yesterday. So I don't know. They got one more game and then they're out. So go Mets. Just saying.
Go Mets.
Go Mets. Yankees did great.
My wife a Mets fan.
Oh, of course she is.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah, we're all hoping for a Subway Series.
Oh man, that would be
awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Yonna Smith watching the program. I want to give props to your beautiful better half in the climbing she did, the conquering of her fear of heights. How high was that? First, do I call it a totem pole?
So it was an actual telephone pole.
A telephone pole. Okay.
20 feet.
Check out Keith's Facebook page. Yonna Smith going 20 feet tall.
20 feet, climbed up a telephone pole, 20 feet, stood on top of it. They have a little 1 foot round platform you have to stand on top of it.
Okay.
And that pole moves like about a foot. So that pole is constantly moving in every different direction. You need to stand on that and then jump off of it. So the key here is overcoming the fear, right? So this is about leadership and working with others. What you don't see in the video is 3 of our fine Realty partner folks are belaying her. They're holding the back end of the rope.
Interestingly, her husband was not one of those individuals. He was holding the camera and filming his beautiful better half.
My job was to film. I was told to film it. I came up after that. There's a video of me doing it, but I'm smart enough not to post that. So I posted hers. But yeah, so it's a faith thing, right? It's a trust thing, right? You have to trust your 3 partners or your 3 friends holding that back end of that rope. Because
who would be the most trustworthy guy? If I had to climb a 20-foot telephone pole and I had to count on the Realty partners to hold my rope, who would I count on the most?
It would be me.
Number 1 for damn sure is Yonna Smith. My first pick would be Yonna. You're holding this rope here. You're slight, but you're full of fight, and I know I can count on you, Yonna Smith. That's number 1.
Oh, I was going to say something.
I'd say number 2, maybe a Gavin Sherwood.
I was going to say, in order to do that really good, you got to have a little bit in the seat to kind of cut down. So maybe me, a little bit of room.
Look at him.
A little bit of room.
She was laughing his tail off over
room
there.
in the seat. But it's actually all about trust and faith, and because you're climbing up that and you're on a harness, but the rope is behind you, so you can't really see who's holding the rope and what they're doing, right? So you got to walk up this pole. It's an 8-inch pole and it's got spikes on it, and then sit on that top. And if you watch the video and kind of freeze it or look at that portion of it, that pole is moving. And then you need to jump off of that, and hopefully everybody else is holding on to the rope.
Yonna says every single person on Realty Partners you can count on to hold that rope. Even Keith. I added the even.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I know you did.
But she genuinely said all of us.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And so, but we rotated. Everybody who felt comfortable, right? You had to feel comfortable. Some people are deathly afraid of heights. But, a shout out.
Are you afraid of heights?
No.
Yeah.
I actually like heights. Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
You? No.
Are you afraid of anything?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think.
Jason Howard, we'll get to your question here in a matter of moments.
Wow.
Scott Q, one of your happy clients watching the program.
You. That's a tough question. I think.
Keith Smith, come on. What are you afraid of? Everyone's afraid of something.
I think what I
have a feeling I know what he's going to say.
fear the most is disappointing somebody.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, I would. That would be my biggest fear is disappointment. Other than that, I'm not smart enough to be afraid of a lot of things. But disappointing somebody that I care about or a client or something like that, that would be my biggest fear. That would be drama.
Kevin Yancey says, I'm afraid of failing my family. That's a good one, Kevin.
Yeah, there you go. Failing. Yeah. I'm not afraid of failing. Actually, failing's a good thing. Done enough of it in my life. Failure is never a thing. I've got a pretty high risk tolerance for it. But failing family, failing friends, failing people that trust you, that I take very seriously, and that would be fearful for me to do that. How about you, man?
I really don't like snakes.
Really?
Really don't like copperheads. Really don't like rattlesnakes. Not a huge snake fan in general.
But that's a healthy fear, though, right?
Don't like snakes.
Yeah, snakes.
Just don't like snakes. Yeah. Don't like copperheads. Don't mind heights.
Yeah.
Don't mind heights. Don't mind the unknown. Don't mind failing. Like you said, I have a very high risk tolerance as well. And I agree with what you said. Failing as it applies to trying new things, and failing as it applies to business is in a lot of ways not necessarily a bad thing. It's how you respond to that failure.
It is nothing but a good thing.
Yeah, you learn so much.
And failure, it's interesting. I wrote something down this morning, not knowing we were going to talk about this. I wrote these 3 things down. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Right? So this is kind of wrapped around John Acuff. I don't know if you know who he is. He's a writer, right? And he did a book called Soundtracks. And we're talking about fear and failure. Is it true? Is what you're telling yourself true? Is it helpful? And be kind to yourself. So look, disappointing family members or clients would be my biggest fear.
There you go. Respect that.
Other than that, I'm too stupid to understand that I'm in that. But yeah, how about you, Judah? What's your fear?
Oh, Judah Wickhauer on a 3-shot with the microphone in front of him. Jason Howard, you're on deck here, JH.
What's your most fearful thing? Don't say Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Don't say Jerry Miller.
Well, it used to be spiders. I still wouldn't want to find one crawling on me, but I've largely.
I've seen you pick up spiders in the studio and take them outside so they can live.
Yeah. Dude, really?
Yeah. He saves the lives of insects.
You know what, Judah?
I just squash them with my shoe.
Thank you.
I do not do that.
I squash them with my shoe. He says that could be my grandma who passed away reincarnated.
I never said that. I don't believe
no,
it.
but
I don't
that's
believe
one of my
either.
stupid jokes. I do exactly the same thing. Drives Yonna nuts. If there's like a spider or something
I've learned a lot about them, and there aren't really any spiders, especially not in the U.S., that will actively, come after people. So, they're pest control.
Brown recluse.
And they're free.
But
they're dangerous, but they try to get away from you. It's not like they're
most animals.
Yeah, brown recluses aren't like trying to crawl into your bed and ruin your life.
No.
What I am afraid of is sharks. Stemming from my dad taking me to see Jaws at a drive-in theater when I was 3 years old.
That'll do it.
But is that fear or just a healthy respect, right?
Do you go in the ocean?
I don't like going in the ocean much.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
so that's a fear.
Okay, I'll wade in. I'll wade in, and I go swimming. But at the back of my mind, there's always that little voice.
Is that great white going to bite my leg off?
Yeah.
So
what's swimming around underneath me?
So I actually got
Wahoo 89 watching in Tennessee. I'm with you, Jerry, on snakes. The fear of disappointing my children is probably on top of the list as well. Wahoo 89. Thank you,
Children,
Wahoo 89.
family, is that it? But so I got licensed to scuba dive when Jaws came out. I was going through and I had to do my open water dive in Long Island, where your visibility is about 0 inches.
Well, one of the things I would not do is go swimming in the water around Long Island.
Well, I had to, literally right after, like an idiot, seeing the movie Jaws.
Oh, man.
I will tell you, I was very uncomfortable during that diving, but I was with a bunch of other people, so I figured, well, you know, my odds were a little bit down, but you know
Push someone in front of you.
Yeah, that's right.
We got some real estate questions coming in.
Yeah.
Logan What's-Kalelo, we love when you watch the program. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. I'll relay some of them
Is
that are
it
live
true?
on
Is
air.
it helpful? Is it kind?
Juan Sarmiento watching the program, we appreciate you. Murdoch Matheson watching the program, we appreciate you. Murdoch. Luke Cole, hello. Real estate agents like Sarah Hill Buchensky watching the program. This is from Jason Howard on Rio Road.
Hey, Jason.
Does rent control have a reasonable chance of making it through the current General Assembly? And would this be a law change that the governor could veto? I'll add to that. Is rent control a reality for Albemarle County? I'll give a little color before you jump in. Supervisor Mike Pruitt, who's a fair housing attorney, the representative from the Scottsville district, a vast district that's made of 3 voting blocks, the neighborhood of Glenmore, the town of Scottsville and the surrounding areas, and the Mill Creek 5th Street Extended voting block. He is pushing a rent control concept onto the Board of Supervisors, in large part because of what happened at Cavalier Crossing, the apartment building that was purchased by an out-of-market REIT, real estate holding company, and they chose not to renew leases. And now they're going to remodel the place, and they're going to raise rents to try to drive ROI. Everything they did, completely above board.
Yeah.
Completely above board. So Mike Pruitt says we need some rent control here.
Yeah, so Dillon Real Estate,
Yep.
the legislature needs to do this.
Yep. General Assembly.
So I won't get into good or bad, or is this going to work or not, until a little bit later in my comments. But from a reality perspective, I give it a very slim chance of passing the House and the Senate at the legislature. I just don't. And the reason being is it will be a statewide law. I find it very hard to believe that, you know, majority of the House and the Senate in these other counties and these other jurisdictions and these other are going to get on board with some sort of rent controlled thing. So I think the practical purpose of it, this is a great conversation to have for a talk show. The reality of its passing, I'd bet you anybody a bottle of bourbon that it won't pass, right? It may not even make it out of committee at this point.
Right now, the Board of Supervisors have punted it back to the Commonwealth.
Well, they have to, because they can't.
And they said, we want a study on rent control and how it applies to Albemarle County, and then we want you to present that study to us.
So if Mike really wants to do something about affordable housing and all that stuff
Supervisor Pruitt.
in the county of Albemarle, there's multiple jurisdictions, but 2 in our area that actually has a special provision in the state code for affordable housing. They can pretty much do whatever they want as long as it's under the umbrella of affordable housing. So they couldn't do rent control because that's outside that purview, but they could do a bunch of stuff to go ahead and help it. Look, I think we talked about this on Wednesday. The simplest answer is to allow more housing. If they end up getting rent control passed and all that stuff, I can assure you the private sector that builds these for a living will stop building them. It's going to slow down anyway because we're overbuilt in multifamilies nationwide. Lenders are not lending money on them right now. We had that conversation on Wednesday on that. So, all this is probably going to hit that timing that is really not going to work. And if I own a multi-family house and I know that this is a rental house and this is coming in, I'm just going to flip it to a condo and sell them.
Right. We talked about that.
It's just really not going to be impactful. I personally lived around rent control. It doesn't work. But here's the politician in me. You know what? Hats off to at least they're trying to come up with solutions. I think it's a misguided solution, personally. You know, there's a bunch of other different ways. Land trust, for an example, that can help in this matter, particularly also in multifamily stuff. We can help in multifamily housing, but yeah, I don't see it getting much past first base. Keep the baseball thing going.
Why? Let me ask you this. Cavalier Crossing was openly on the market. The previous owners were knocking on everyone's door looking to make a deal. Maybe this is a conversation for a talk show. Maybe this is a conversation for real life. Why did that not ever have an opportunity to be acquired by, say, Albemarle County?
So what you're suggesting is jurisdictions get in the real estate purchasing business.
I mean, jurisdictions own real estate.
They do, but they don't do it well.
Jurisdictions, Charlottesville doing another version of the crossings as we speak?
Yeah, but look,
I'm just talking out loud here.
Yeah, governments
gave a bridge loan to Habitat and PHA to purchase
yeah, but they're not ownership.
The trailer park on Carlton.
Yes, that's okay.
Well, why not a bridge loan to...
Okay, well, no. Then I misunderstood
I'll
you.
rephrase.
I misunderstood.
I'll rephrase. Why didn't Albemarle County get in the game to help finance a deal with a local nonprofit housing provider?
To buy that.
To buy Cavalier Crossing.
Don't know the answer to that. Could be very much so they weren't asked. They didn't think of it, right? Who knows? Albemarle County doesn't have this unlimited pot of money, right, out there to go ahead and do it. They don't. I know, I ask for it all the time, right? They don't. So, look, I honestly believe, and because I'm a housing person and I believe in the free market and I believe in the market doing its thing, if they could make the process a little easier, there'd be more. I think you're going to see about 33% of new construction happening, of all new construction costs be due to regulatory expenses. We're now at 24. I think when they release the numbers in early 2025, you're going to see that number jump, in my opinion. If there's a way to dial it down a little bit, make it half, it'll make the process simpler. Reduce time, right? We're at 7 years, 8 years. Some of these projects, 10 years in the making. It's nothing but money on that end of it. If you could, and this is not rocket science, guys. You can figure out a way to go ahead and streamline it down. On the other hand, you also have people that just don't want more development, and they have to reconcile that. But look,
it's not that I don't want more development. It's just I want infrastructure prioritized prior to development.
Yeah. Well, how does that work? Exactly how does that work?
Let's consider traffic and roads, and let's consider water and schools, and let's consider bus routes and transportation, and let's consider fiber, internet, and let's consider infrastructure before we build.
I get that, but how are we going to do that? So how are you, unless...
I mean, I'm not a fan of children learning in trailers outside of a school because the school's overcrowded.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I grew up in a school system that was a little different than that. So.
Well, I get that, but times have changed.
I get that. Partnerships matter, and partnerships work. That's the reason why the Regional Housing Partnership, in my opinion, has been very successful in trying to move the needle forward, because it brings all these entities together in one table, which is the local governments, the for-profits, the nonprofits in the housing space, and the people who we serve. We have to get better at working together to go ahead and do this. But when you make the developer the bad person all the time, I'll give you a prime example. It's public, so I can talk a little bit about it. Greene County. Mm-hmm. There was a project that was trying to get rezoned. Same number of of residential units is by right, but the project wanted to be a little bit more environmentally friendly in the development. In the development process, in the rezoning process, the developer made a proffer. You can't, jurisdictions can't ask for proffers, but developers can offer them freely to make a ton of improvements to the water and the sewer system. They rejected it. It is now moving forward as a by right subdivision. Same about number of lots as 500. There is no obligation of the developer to do anything. There's an obligation on the county side to provide services. So they had an opportunity to make improvements and have somebody else pay for it, and they shot it down. And they shot it down because they didn't want more housing to be developed. Well, guess what? You're getting more housing anyway, but you're just not having a say in it. And the reason I use that example on this is if instead of thinking all development and building is bad, let's work together as partners, we can get there. But, that's a prime example that Greene County needs some infrastructure improvements. There was a developer willing to pay for it, and they shot him down. Not only the Planning Commission approved it unanimously, and the board rejected it unanimously. So the politics kind of got in the middle of it, and now they're scratching their head on how they're going to make these improvements. And they had, I think it was like $10 million worth of work that was going to get done at zero to the county. So that's where this whole thing is falling apart, is this lack of communication and this lack of ability to work together.
Bill McChesney, the mayor of McIntyre, a little sarcasm
soapbox
here. He says, all these projects, no need for parking because we will all just walk or bike or use public transportation. Little tongue-in-cheek there from the mayor of McIntyre.
Yeah. And I get it. And in certain locations, it works, right? If you're in an area that you can walk to, you get your cup of coffee, that's one thing, right? You can walk to work, that's another thing. Where it can't. I can tell you right now, try to go to the Tavola on a Friday night and find a parking spot in Belmont. Good luck.
And I'll add to that.
The trick is, though, here's the trick. Get there at 4:45.
I'll respond to that. Try being a Belmont homeowner or a Belmont tenant on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night.
And find a parking spot in front of your house.
And be and having no luck finding a parking spot by your house.
I am one of those idiots.
No. Think about that. You own a home or you rent a home in Belmont, and 3 nights a week you can't park by your house.
I'm one of those knuckleheads that parks in front of a house. The trick is to get there at 4:45. That's the trick.
People know that trick. Those places are crowded then.
I will tell you, if you do not find a parking spot by 5:15 on a Friday night, you're not going to find one. I've actually walked from my office.
And it didn't used to be that way. I lived there in 2000. I lived on Little Graves in 2006.
Yeah, but what was Belmont in 2000?
It was just Mas Tapas. The local wasn't even there yet.
That's my point.
La Tasa wasn't even there yet.
So
now La
there's a
Tasa's
double-edged sword here, right? It's become this hip spot. It's great food, wonderful things, but now you have to adapt. Now, I grew up in a part of the city of Brooklyn where you had to go drive around blocks multiple times to find a place to park before we moved out to Long Island. So, everything's kind of relevant. I actually, like today, I'll walk from my office to Belmont. It's a 1 mile walk, nice and easy. Coming back, I might.
You guys are going to Tavola for dinner?
That's my. It's either going to go Tavola or I'm probably going to dig myself into one of the hamburgers that Johnny's now put on the schedule.
Oh, Mexicali.
Mexicali, yeah.
Mexicali, West Main Street.
And I can even walk to there, right? It's a little bit more than a mile from my office to Mexicali. It's about a mile to that, so I'll take a
50
walk.
parking spots on site at Mexicali on West Main Street.
It does.
It's a street art museum meets cocktail bar meets music venue meets Latin fusion cuisine.
And the walk back actually gives me an opportunity to kind of straighten up a little bit.
Yeah, get the belt and the waist in the right spot. Digest some of that food.
I'm going to do this ride tomorrow morning. So.
We should highlight the slides with the presidential election. Judah, you have those in your inbox? If you can put those on screen, Keith sent those to you.
Yeah, so it was a question I was asked yesterday after our little event. What's kind of going on with the market, right? It seems a little sluggish right now. And there's one slide that the good Dr. Lisa Sturvant.
Judith's going to give us a thumbs up when that's on screen.
And I'll read the quote. Historically, the housing market doesn't tend to look very different in a presidential election year compared to other years. I'm going to disagree with her just a little bit on that. I get what she's trying to say, but generally it feels like right now at certain price points, people are just in a hurry up and wait mode. But there's another slide, and he'll go ahead and show it here in a minute, that historically after home sales went up after 9 of the last 11 presidential elections. So generally what happens, my experience has been, in this marketplace for 40 years, August, September, October, depending.
The market's slowing down.
It is big time slowing down, right? And
slowing down.
And you can tell, we'll look at it here in a minute, what's come on the market in 7 days and what went pending. There's actually far less.
Rates upticking a little higher as well.
And people got mad at me. I'm pretty sure I did it on the show. People got mad at me saying that when they lowered the Fed rate, mortgage rates were going to go up.
You said it was already baked in.
Well, it's already baked in, and it went up. So it's very, very interesting. I think you're going to see interest rates continue to climb, but sales will pick up after the election. I really mean. People are just kind of. This is just. Again, it's Dr. Lisa Sturvant. This is just a weird market. And anyway, we'll see. They last 9 out of 11, as soon as election was over, they went up.
Travis Hackworth watching the program and Danville. Travis, thank you for watching the show. Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. J-Dubs, did you get those on screen?
Just about. Which one do you want first?
Which slide on screen first?
The home sales went up after 9 of the last 11 presidential elections. I think that's the most impactful. It's a pretty interesting.
Donna Price, Stephanie Wells Roach, Jesse Rutherford, welcome to the program. Ginny Hu, welcome to the program. Bellamy Brown, thank you for watching. That's a good slide, Keith.
It's an interesting slide. It shows that.
It's on screen.
It shows where.
Take a look, viewers. Look at the screen.
Where sales went up. And then there's a second one that says home prices went up after 7 of the last 8 presidential elections. Now, these are national numbers. If you've watched a couple of shows back, prices are not coming down. Thank you, buddy. Prices are not coming down. Volume is way off, right? We're like 34, 35% below the height of volume in 2021. We're about 17, 18% below compared to 2016. I think at the end of the year, those numbers are going to probably get till about 40% below 21 and about 20%. I think that 17 will grow to 20% below 16. But prices are up 75% since 2016. So, volume is going to, I think, continue to be light. Prices are going to go up. It's just as when the pros show up. I've been saying it for all along. So.
Commercial market is rebounding.
In this marketplace.
Commercial market is showing signs of rebounding outside of Charlottesville and Central Virginia as well.
Well,
a lot of refinancing happening with commercial paper.
That's the big trick there, right? And what's the impact of the refinancing and how bad they're going to get hurt. So if they pay down enough of the principal, because interest rates are way higher than when they borrowed it 4 or 5 years ago, is my principal 50% of what it was 4 or 5 years ago, it might balance out. You might not get that hurt. But also nationwide, we're not talking about this locally, but nationwide, residential rents are going down. A lot of that is because the multifamily nationwide has been overbuilt. The reason I said this earlier, the reason why this is important locally, unless you use cash, you're not banks are not lending money right now. Unless it's like 50 to 1, 50% debt to income kind of debt to loan ratio on it. So we'll see.
James Turner watching the program on YouTube. He says this, it used to be there was no inventory. Then it was when rates drop, things will pick up. Now it's after the election, things will pick up. I wonder what will be next.
Yeah, so you know what? That's a great comment.
He said, used to be, it was no inventory. Then it was when rates drop, inventory will pick up. Now it's after the election, inventory will pick up.
Yeah.
I wonder what will be next.
Yeah, probably nothing. Look, I predicted this, and hopefully you will have me. We'll be around for another 5 to 10 years. But this is a 5 to 10 year turnaround time, unless something catastrophic happens. But I do not see inventory changing in the next 5 to 10 years. Again, depending on who you speak to, nationwide, we're between 4 to 6 million units short of residential units just to keep up with the current demand, right? And then we've got all these Gen Zs and millennials that are coming into the largest buying block. And, I may, from my perspective, if we don't start figuring out a way now to increase inventory, I'm talking about allowing building to happen, this is just going to drag on. And even if interest rates climb, we proved it, right, in the market. When interest rates were substantially higher than they are now, units were still selling, right, at a decent clip. Prices were still going up. So raising mortgage rates didn't increase or impact the market. Right now, this is a vibe thing. If you take a look at the market, particularly in the $750,000 to $1 million price range in here, it's kind of a little soft compared to the lower ranges, but that's kind of where we're at.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. We'll relay them live on air. This comment's coming in here.
Look at that. I lied. I haven't looked at it this morning. We've already changed since Wednesday. And I took a picture of Wednesday just to get this out. 78 new properties came on the market 7 days from today backwards. 76 went pending. So we're not back at even when we were on Wednesday. And I'll let you talk and I'll find that picture.
Questions coming in. This one is, why has the market softened, Keith?
Yeah, I think it's a vibe thing, right? But a couple of days matter, right? Maybe it was the show on Wednesday. Maybe it was the words I made up. I'm looking at the picture I took on this time 2 days ago. 94 homes came on the market going back. 59 went on the market. Just in 2 days, that changed to 78 new homes came on the market and 76 went pending. So we went to almost a 50-50 split between what came on and went into pending to equal. What's Monday going to bring us? So it's this roller coaster ride we're going through. I just think certain prices are soft. People are just a little nervous right now. We'll see what happens in, what did we say, 17 days?
17 days, the election underway.
So we shall see.
I mean, we're both under the impression that the rates are going to get a little bit more appealing and advantageous in the first quarter. Is that safe to say?
It depends on how much the market baked in to the first adjustment, right? So right now, they're almost, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they jumped kind of like a half a point to a point since they were before the announcement. So if they cut it back another half a point, the Fed, does it go back to where it was? Does it go back even lower? But we talked about this on Wednesday. If you're looking for a great deal, head out to Colonial Circle and get into
open up the eyes of colleagues of yours.
4.875% for and this is a 30-year mortgage, for a FHA and a VA loan.
Not all builders could buy down rates like that. Only the big ones can.
Not only the big ones that operate in cash.
Yeah, there's very few that are able to do that locally.
But
you may be looking at one of maybe one or two that can do that locally. So that's Stanley Martin, right?
Well, correct, yeah. But there's 5 developers and builders and everything that really can do a sizable project, right?
What do you got? Stanley,
Ryan.
Southern.
help me out here. Developer-wise, that's really pretty much it, right? And Ryan technically is not a developer, so really it's
Brian's not doing a lot of work here either. Sandra McDaniel, welcome to the show.
They're not, but they don't develop.
Yeah.
They have somebody else develop, and then they buy lots for it. But Southern Development and Stanley Martin Homes do develop and build, and there's a couple other ones that come to mind that slips my mind. But look, you can buy if you're a veteran, and you have your certificate of eligibility at 4.875, you can buy a 3,300, a 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath townhome with a 2-car garage, brand new, and bring $1,329.77 because and your monthly payment will be $2,224 because Stanley Martin's giving you $10,000 in closing costs, and they pre-bought this interest rate. It ends the end of this year, by the way. You got between now and the end of the year to take advantage of this. But if you're in the market and you're paying like $2,200 to $2,400,
it's a no-brainer not to do that,
right? And you're a veteran for $1,300, you can own a home. For VA, it's a little different because, FHA, VA, you do no money down. FHA requires 3.5% down, which in this case translates to roughly, this was my $11,000 on it. So if you have it $11,000 in cash, you can move into that same home for $2,052 a month. That includes, by the way, property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA dues. It includes your PMI, which is your mortgage insurance. That's all in for $2,052.40.
Can't beat that. You can't beat that.
And you get into a project that's just starting to develop. The prices will definitively go up. Your value will go up. It's a great. You talk about this all the time. Get into a townhome, start getting your ownership ball moving, sell it, put a few bucks in your pocket, or keep it and rent it, and keep on moving up the housing ladder.
How about the comment that's coming in? We're seeing open houses everywhere.
Yeah, it's funny. In the middle of COVID, what did we say was never going to happen again?
Open houses.
It's kind of like inventory, right? That inventory.
They're coming back, my friend.
that inventory. Yeah, they're coming back. I'm going to get myself into a little trouble. Yonna absolutely loves open houses.
I know she does. She's also a very likable person.
She's a very likable person. I think an open. Oh boy, I'm going to get myself into trouble here. I'm not a fan of open houses, but that may be a leftover of the dozens and dozens of Parade of Homes I've done. After a while,
Parade of Homes just finished?
Well, when I was doing Parade of Homes, it was different. This was, you actually got awards, right? And you had to build a home, and they had other builders come in from the area and judge them. And it was a big thing. It was people would come from all over.
Oh, yeah. It was like a showcase. It was a showcase.
And you don't see that. It doesn't get the same traction as it used to get, but it was and I'll brag a little bit. My company, building company, won more Parade of Homes awards than anybody. I was very, very proud of our team and our group. But you would get like hundreds of people a day just go through, and sometimes you get tired of the same question over and over.
Is it the same impact with the open house?
No, it's very different. It was when we were doing the Parade of Homes back in the day, we'd sell out a whole year in one weekend, in 2 weekends, right? We would sell out 20, 30 houses, right? People would walk in, you would book your whole 12 months. It was a great thing from a small builder way back when that didn't have the depth and the expenses that the Stanley Martin would have. It would set my whole year.
I heard one of your colleagues say, Michael Guthrie, that we're about 30, 40 days away from the market coming to a very slow halt with the holidays.
Well, and he may be right. Historically, that's what happens. But it has not happened, and we can look at that, but that has not happened in quite a while. I actually think it's going to pick up. And look, there's no science to this. There's no nothing. This is my gut, right? I just really.
I trust your gut.
We'll go ahead and put this out here. Hold on a second, because I want to make sure I get the stats right. Okay, Zillow. I read an article this morning. Zillow put out 2023. 82% of all sellers sold for life events. And what are those? We know them, the 4 Ds. What are they?
Tell us.
Diamonds.
Yep.
Diapers.
Divorce.
Death. And death.
Yeah.
And so 82% of all the transactions that Zillow tracked were due to life events, which is one of the 3 Ds. Life happens, events happen. If it was 12% or 10% of life or some other number, 20%, okay. But people got to move, and these things are happening. I'm in the last one. I'm waiting for the last one, unless Yonna gets smart and divorces me.
No.
But yeah, we're in the last. But it's a real thing, right? All our clients that we are helping either buy or sell, they fit into one of these 4 categories. They're either getting married, their family's growing. Unfortunately, and I don't know if this is a result of COVID, but we seem to be doing a lot of divorces. Divorce separations, which is an interesting environment because you got to sell and buy, and it's an awkward dance to dance. And then there's a lot of folks passing away, and then we have to work with the families.
So you think it's going to pick up to close the year?
I think so. What the hell do I know, though? But
people listen.
I think people are going to get back in the market. I really believe that. Who was the one that was saying? What was the viewer saying that every time something comes up?
Jamie Turner.
Yeah. You're 100%.
And he's a real estate investor.
Yeah, it's 100% right. Right. So this is the sake of a talk show. I honestly think people are putting a pause. This is my gut. Putting a pause on right now. If they don't fall into one of these 4 categories, they're in hurry up and wait, and some of them possibly in hurry up and wait to see what's going on. But these 4 categories, these 4 Ds, are going to consistently happen, and people are going to have to move. So we shall see. There's an R in there. Really would be retirement, because there's a lot of people retiring, moving down into that. And I couldn't figure out how to turn retirement into a D.
A D. What is the retirement for D, Judah?
I'm not smart enough to figure that out.
What is the retirement for D?
I literally, if you can see my card, I literally wrote that down as you were talking about. I wrote November.
We need a D word for retirement.
It's this thing called ChatGPT. Probably can tell you.
I mean, he can look it up. He's a wordsmith.
So I wrote down on my notes, November, this is the NOV, because I knew you were going to bring it up. And then I wrote 4 Ds, diamonds, diapers, divorce, and death. But I couldn't figure out a D word for retirement.
Decommission?
Decommission.
No, I think that's what Mrs. Smith's going to do with me. That may fall under the divorce category. Well, we got to do better than that.
That was good. Decommission, that is good. Keith Smith, let him know what you're doing this weekend with your bike ride.
I am riding.
I respect what he's doing here this weekend, folks.
I rode 100 kilometers last Saturday. I'm riding 100 kilometers this Saturday. This time of the year, I do that, and I raise money for suicide.
You're a good man, Keith.
I try to raise money for suicide prevention and awareness amongst vets. We lose 22 a day to suicide, so I do my best. I've lost a couple of friends to suicide, fellow Marines that I knew to suicide, so I do what I can to raise a little bit of money, and I raise a little bit of money and a little bit of awareness. So we'll say this, if you know a vet, or if you have a vet in your life, don't say thank you for your service. Spend your time with them. Take them out. Say, hey, have a cup of coffee. How's life treating you? How's what's going on? That's the best way you can help a vet out. If you can't, you can't. But invest your most precious asset, which is your time, to a fellow vet or a vet that you know. Those of us who are vets and know other vets, we tend to do this on a regular basis. But, reach out. Share a little love.
I wish you the best of luck on that ride.
Wish my tush best of luck.
You got the cushy shorts.
I've got cushy shorts, yeah. But I can tell you when you're sitting in that seat for 60,
still feel it.
60 miles, your tush will get it. And this one's got like a 5,000-foot elevation change. So my hammies and my quads are going to be going, what the hell are you doing?
Keith Smith.
But we're going to raise money for things. But we're going to get off because we're going to see what you want to check and see what the
coach is doing.
What the coach is doing. And
Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners, a name you can trust, online at yesrealtypartners.com. Folks, if you need somebody to help you navigate this real estate journey we call buying and selling, Keith and Yonna and their team, they're the people to use.
Since we started talking?
I know firsthand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Since we started talking, it's now equal.
There it is.
78 came on, 78 just went into bending.
There it is.
So, yeah, a couple of days ago, that was like double. I was like, maybe inventory's starting to pick up. And, if this trend continues, it's kind of where, man, people are just going to be buying right through the holidays. We'll find out.
We'll find out. Thank you for joining us.
It.
We'll talk about it next week. Thank you for joining us on the Friday edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. Judah Wickower, yours truly. I Love CVille show at 12:30. So long, everybody.
Thank you, sir.